Thanks so much for joining us. This is a MeWe Awakening panel. You can find us online at mewefairs.com. That's MEWEFAIRS.com. We offer lots of different online events for the metaphysics and wellness community, for energizing body, mind, heart, and soul. Today is an awakening panel. We have 7 practitioners here and an 8th practitioner that's at home. That's not here at the moment. We'll be answering questions from the audience. Our topic today is energy healing, and we have a special emphasis on special needs kids or special kids or awesome kids, all kinds of ways of looking at them. And let's see, we have more people coming in. So we're going to go through and have all the practitioners introduce themselves and talk a bit about their work and also the theme. We'll do that all together at once today. And then we'll be answering questions from the audience. It's free to join us, and it's $15 to answer or to ask a question of the panel. And then many of us will answer, possibly all of us. And then there's one practitioner that will answer later, follow up by email. And I'll introduce her work a little bit as we go around. Yeah, we have lots of different events. We look forward to having you today and at other events as well. So yeah, MeWeFairs.com, you can sign up on our email list. And then also today we have let's see, just the names of all the people that are coming. And then also we're going to have a feedback form, so we could get your feedback on the experience today, what we might improve for future sessions. And if you'd like to share your contact info with us there, we'll put you on our email list and we'll enter you into a drawing for a free 30-minute session with one of us of your choice. So all that information's in the chat right now, and I'll put the information on the rest of the practitioners there in a moment too. Let's go ahead and go around it. Everyone can share for about 5 minutes or so. Go ahead and share about yourself, your work, particularly the references to energy healing. And if you work with special kids at all, go ahead and share about that. And actually, maybe let me share a tiny bit about the person that this all got created around. And clearly just energy healing, big popular topic. So I'm sure we're going to do another panel as well. I wish I even knew how to pronounce her name quite correctly. Let me put her information in the chat right now. So her name is, and I'm so sorry, I'm not pronouncing it quite right, Katerine Camber, or Katerine Camper, not quite sure. So she does energy therapy healing, and about 10 years ago, I think it's when she had a special child, she turned her focus of her practice onto working with special kids and their parents. So it's been about 10 years she's been doing that work. I put a link to her website and to a particular page on working with special kids on her website, so you can reach out to her. She's going to be answering questions by email today. It just didn't work out as a good day for her to be here for the event. And so she'll go back and watch the videos, people ask questions, and then she'll provide an individualized email response to each person that asks a question. We'll make sure that I have your contact info so I can get that to her. Yeah, so just a beautiful, lovely, sensitive person, and she's the reason why this whole event got created. So special thanks to her, and we'll create another one. I was offering the ways that she might be able to just jump in and out today, and it just didn't work. And I imagine, like many of you, particularly, I can understand. All right, well, let's go around and the rest of us can introduce ourselves, and I'm really fine with whatever order you all want to choose. And energy healing is not my specialty. I may do a little bit of like energy emotional kind of work in my work, but not specifically. All right, so I'm great with whoever wants to jump in, and I'll just go ahead and put a timer on, but somewhere around 5 minutes would be great. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Great.
Is that okay? Is that all right?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Hi, my name is Sandra Jeffs, and I'm a healer. I assist people with letting go of beliefs and programs and maybe past lives, things that you've inherited from family that no longer serve you and are blocking you from your highest and best. I've combined all of the modalities that I've used over the years into a holistic process called Soul Essence Awakening. And my goal is to help people to clear their energy so that they can step into their life's purpose and into their power. I believe in empowering people with tools and perspectives that they can do on their own, and that they don't have to be tethered to me or to anybody really, because they've got the tools. Maybe come back for a tune-up once in a while, but my goal is always to empower you to do your own healing and find your own path. And one of the things that I do for free, and I have a lot of stuff on my website, is I developed a program for myself in my own healing, which is 5 steps. And it takes about 15 minutes in the morning to set a stage for how you go out. And just real quickly, I'll say the first step, even before I get out of bed, is I say gratitude, five things I'm grateful for. When I open my eyes and I'm still in bed, thank you for the sleep I got today, however much it is. Then I stand up, and the next thing I do is breathing exercise. And it only takes about 2 or 3 minutes to do it, but I want to start my day with gratitude, and the breathing exercises release the stress so that I enter the day stress-free. And then the next thing that I do is laugh for 1 solid minute, deep belly laughs, which has a lot of physical, our physical body benefits, health benefits, besides lifting our mood. And so does the breathing have a lot of physical health benefits. And then the other thing that I do is set an intention. What I'm going to do is, it's something, it isn't a goal, but a goal is attached to it later. But it's something like, today I'm going to do 1 extra kindness for myself and 1 extra kindness for somebody else. And then I set a goal of a plan how to do it. And the last thing I do is I have a whole series of over 350 positive lyric songs to empower you. And I just have them on my playlist on my phone. While I'm getting dressed, fixing breakfast, whatever, I hit it, and for 15 minutes, I listen to songs that inspire me and empower me. So I hit the ground, happy and grounded and ready to go. So that's one of the things that I give to people to help them to be their highest and best. So that's me. I'm Sandra Jeffs, and my process is called Soul Essence Awakening. Thanks.
That's great. Thanks, Sandra, and very quick. And I'm going to go ahead and put Sandra's information in the chat. And if there's something that you want to add, go ahead and do that. But here it is right here. Oops, there we go. And yeah, who wants to go next and share? I'm happy whoever the practitioners wants to jump in. And by the way, you can find all of us in the chat. I think all of our names should begin with a P. So you can find us if you go to participants, I guess not in the chat, but the participants, you can see us all. And if you go to the chat window, if you go to the blue toggle, you can see all of us. So you're welcome to write messages to all of us or to individual practitioners as well. And I should say, and all the practitioners are listing specials today. So if you'd like to, we'd love for you to ask a question of us today in the panel. It's only $15. And all of us are also listing specials for our work, where we're offering our work at special prices for you from attending today. And it looks like Susie is ready to go. Susie, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Susie Parker Goins with Blue Lightning Healing. I am a channel, which means divine comes through and speaks through me to you. So my physicality will change, my voice will change. And it's a conversation. And my goal lately has been to help you connect with divine in such a way that you can just talk to it. It's not requiring all kinds of or anything. It's just, let's make it, I want to normalize it. And so I teach you techniques you can do at any time on your own. And again, like Sandra, I don't need anybody tied to me, but I want to give you those tools you need so you can make that progress in your life, so you can move forward and remove the blockages. I'm also an energy healer. I can do body scans so I can see where you have blockages there. And through breath work, we work on identifying and releasing those blockages, again, to allow you to move more freely through your life. I'm a Reiki master. I also love facilitating past life exploration and release. Past lives, I believe, can affect you even today. My experience has been, I've got clients who may have some sort of like little thing here on their head. We've done the exploration. We found out what the origin of that was. And so as we identify the origin, the past life it came from, or whatever pattern, it could potentially be a behavioral pattern, then you can go through and release it and allow you to move forward. I also do podcasts, primarily on Anchor.fm, but there are several platforms. And today I just uploaded one that was a meditation about meeting your spirit guide. So Mondays I'll do the meditations, and Thursdays I'll start expounding on my thoughts on different metaphysical topics. So today's what, Monday? So I uploaded a podcast today. And my feeling is that energy healing, you can learn to do it. Anyone can do it. As Einstein said, that everything is made up of energy. And then we get to learn to manipulate it, to move it around, to release the blockages. I think that energy is intelligent, so it will go where it's needed most. So as you work with a Reiki master or an energy practitioner, it's going to come through and help them, but it's also going to come out and work with you. As you direct your energy, that's, they say what you think about, what you focus on is what you manifest. And so I'm happy to help guide you through that. Let's see, what else do I have? No, I think, and my information is up there right now, so you can email me. The best way is to email me to find out availability or whatever questions you have. So thanks very much, and I'm looking forward to tonight's panel.
Great, and I put Susie's information in the chat, so you all should have that. And then who wants to share next? We have Carrie and Satora, Galactic Ashley, Emiko. Is that all of us? I think so. Yeah, who wants to go? One of you gets to leap in. Okay, great, Satora.
Hi, I'm Satora with Well of Love. I'm an energy healer and channel, and I am a playful, creative, love field generator, growth catalyst. Those are my superpowers. So I invite you to come into my field of unconditional love, that the beings that I work with and we create that for you, so you can be who you are and just relax and lay down all the burdens. I work with 2 different modalities in the energy healing. One of them is called quantum energetic realignment. That's something that came to me, and that is connected with the group of beings that I work with. And I've done it on myself for 8 years now. It has completely changed me from suicidal, depressed person who had abusive relationships to this. now I feel I'm much more myself. I feel much more empowered, and I have no more abusive relationships. I have completely new relationships in my life. And the quantum energetic realignment is basically pure divine love that helps you, according to your intentions, helps you to align with them. And in the process of that, removes the patternings and the blocks and heavy duty emotions that are in the way of that. And the other modality is called Chinchin Terra. That is something that I'm learning. And it is based on an ancient Oriental healing art, the Chinchin Jitsu, which is based on the meridians and the 5 elements. And it works with touching certain points. It's acupressure. So it's similar to acupuncture, but it's acupressure, and it's simpler in my understanding. And the Chinchin Terra has been created by Dr. Stephanie Mines, who is also a neuropsychologist, and she has combined her neuro research with the Chinchin and has added a lot of applications to it to resolve trauma and shock specifically. And this healing art has a huge self-care component. So whatever it is that you need support with to balance your energy system, we can give you simple applications that you can do at home, and it's completely safe. You can do as much and as little as you want. And all of this is really also wonderful for children, and especially these self-care applications can be done with children in a playful way, and can help, calm them down or balance their energy. Um, yeah, I think that's mostly it. So my name is Satora, and you'll probably find my information in the chat. And I hope that tonight you'll get answers and that it serves you to be here. Thank you.
Great, I just put Satora's information in the chat, so yes, that is there. And I'll probably go around and ask the practitioners all to answer some questions afterwards too, so you'll probably get a little bit more after all their intros. All right, we've got Carrie and Emiko and Galactic Ashley still to go. Who wants to go next? Oh, Carrie maybe is ready. Go ahead.
I'm happy to share. I'm Carrie Russell, and I'm also an energy healer and teach classes as well. So people who want to learn what I do can become a practitioner themselves. And I happen to be a former school teacher, recovering former public school teacher. I taught in the public school systems. Total teaching career is about 27 years, and I left about a year ago to really pursue energy healing because I found that energy healing was just remarkable with anyone, as we know, for all my colleagues here, and then those of you who have experienced it. But with children, I really became aware of how quickly, first of all, they're great receivers. They receive energy healing so remarkably. And I just found that in working with them, they tend to have, the sessions tend to be shorter. They tend to be pretty dynamic because they don't have all the stuckness that we tend to hold in adult bodies, so children can receive. And I just see a lot of behavior and mood changes happen pretty frequently. So my modality, I do a couple of things. One is my own technique I call meridian flow. The meridian flow technique, because it helps flow energy throughout the body. So anything that's stuck, we can help clear that. And I can do that remotely. I also study the tools and techniques of access consciousness. And that is a umbrella name for a whole host of tools and techniques that the primary one is something called the bars, or access consciousness bars. And that is a process where you gently touch the head up to 32 points on the head, very gentle touch, and that helps release energy around your thoughts, feelings, and emotions. So in doing so, you kind of get the calming of the monkey mind. That's when when I work with children, I find that to be a remarkable process for them to have more ease in the world, because they worry, they can pick up on the stress of the adults, and planetary stress, and especially kids with special needs can have even a heightened sense of stress and anxiety that they're picking up. It's not even theirs. So the bars helps release that. And I will say that the bars is a hands-on process, so I do prefer to do that in person, but some of the other things I can do remotely as well. So anyway, thank you.
Okay, great. Yeah, go ahead, Galactic Ashley. And I'll put
Hi, I'm Galactic Ashley, and I channel divine guidance for star seeds, connecting them to their star families and galactic lineages. I use light language frequencies to work with cosmic connections to facilitate high frequency healing transmissions and encoded activations. So one of my favorite things to do is to activate and work with people in their light language. And light language, I believe, is one of our most powerful healing tools that is innate to all of us. And it is an area of ourselves where we are able to access all lifetimes that we've ever existed as. And I have found that for me specifically, and other people that are drawn to the words hybrid or wanderer, rainbow child, indigo, blue ray, crystal child, or wingmaker, that these can be exceptionally powerful tools for you to access and to use, and just exploring them and how you can use it. And light language can be written, drawn, it can come through your body, it can be visual or verbal. And One offering that I do is I do these light language drawings for people. I call them galactic light energy drawings. So people will call, or they won't call, sorry, they'll order and then they can ask a question, and then I will also put English on the backside. But I encourage people to either, create their own or to order one. And you can work with these by charging water or having them in your physical space. Because they're broadcasting frequencies that are unique to you, and they can access your own crystalline structure within you. So tonight I'm offering a 10% discount code on a 10-week program that I have coming up starting August 3rd. And it ends in around October 8th, where we will be going over and activating light language in all of us, and then by the end of it you'll be able to activate light language in other people, to incorporate it into your healing practice or your creative practice, or to use it every day on yourself. I use it every day, all the time. It's a way for me to quote unquote ground, or what I prefer to say, to center myself, because as as Carrie said, that there's a lot of people that are sensitive to what's happening, and the earth, her tone has shifted recently. And I'm not talking about the Schumann frequency, I'm talking about something else. And then recently I felt these compression waves coming to earth, and that isn't anything to do with anything other than it's coming from the galactic sun, and it feels like I'm on a ship or a boat, right? So these waves come in, and all I can say is I'm so grateful that I'm sensitive to these. But when I'm doing that and trying to do something else, like be on time somewhere else, or just do a regular 3D thing, like it can be challenging. And so I definitely identify a lot with special needs kids, and I always encourage and try to empower parents and help them with their own telepathy and other gifts to work with their own gifted children. And I've been thinking a lot and working on something that I call the fifth dimensional paradigm of parenting. So that's why I'm here. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you. All right. Emiko, are you?
Hi, my name is Emiko Tagami, and I'm the heartfelt energy healer. Ever since I was small, I have energy felt on my between the hands, and then I played, by myself when I was alone. Ever since I was really small, but I didn't know what it was. And recently, I found out that is a healing property, and then actually, I was healing my parents and families and people around, without conscious. And now I know I can support more people. And I also was, a school teacher, public school teacher at the, elementary school and middle school. Also I taught, private school for adult people. But from my experience too, the kids are very pure, and then they good to receive it, because adults are more thinking too much. What is the logic? What is the logic behind, or something like that? But kids are really easy to receive. And so as many the Reiki practitioners said, especially the special needing kids are very sensitive. Most of them are very sensitive about energy, healing energy, in a very effective, good way afterwards. And I believe so too, from my experience too. And they are very, I think, special needing kids, to me, is not the special needing kids. They are special, talented kids. One part is, so good. That's why, other part is a little bit different from others. But it's not, something less or anything. That's what I always believe it. And when I was, very small, my mom, asked me, what would you like to be when you were, growing up? And I always said, I wanted to be, the kindergarten teacher, because I love the small kids ever since I was small. Even I was smaller than this, elementary, kindergarten kids. I wanted to, be a kindergarten teacher. But unfortunately, it didn't happen. But I was a, school teacher, as I said before. And I was born in Japan and raised in Japan, and actually my family were all, educator, family. Like my mom was retired elementary school teacher, and my father had a, private, coaching school. My siblings, helped him. But none of them are very spiritual people, except my grandma, who passed away a long time ago. And I was raised by my grandma, so I know how to chant, every morning, to the God, in Japanese said it's Shinto way, in Buddhist way. So we are very unique, of the mixture of the Shinto and the Buddhist, in the same family. So, but anyway, I love to hear, work with the people, because when I heal someone, that actually, as the person, feeling better, I feel better too. I always feel two way. It's not always in one way. And I always, use not my energy. You don't have to worry about, how bad person I am, because I don't use my energy. I use, energy from the nature and in the universe. That's through my body and hand, and then they pass on to someone. That's why, sometimes at the fair, Laura, had a fair. I was there, and many people are kind of making a line behind, and then someone asked me, "Are you getting tired because you are so busy?" No, I'm not, because I'm not using my energy. I'm using clean energy from the universe and the nature. And then as I use that, I feel better, actually, really good. That's why I love, this work, because, I'm not intended to receiving to do that, but, it's always coming back in a way, that fair way. And, that's a great fulfillment in feeling, because, because someone appreciate me. That's simple. And my vision is to help, someone, like help you. And when you get, when you get better, you can help someone else. And that's the person could, help other people. And those are, good chain of the, good, positive chain that I really, really wanted to create. So I wanted to start it from here today. So if you need, any good energy, also, I'm a, I balance chakra, the aura and the chakra, and then removing your, the emotional blocks. So if you're confused, and then if your emotions take away your day, please come to me and talk to me. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you so much. It's actually the longest I've heard you share about your work. It's great. I get to know you all better. Oh, such a just tiny little bit about me, since it's not my specialty. I'm Lorelei Shimayo. So I host all these different events, and I'm also an intuitive eye reader. So I'm able to read about parents as well as about kids. And I can often see when people are sensitive. There are some of the talents that are more sensitive than others, and sensitive in different ways. There's another trait that I read that's not on the main sheet of everything. There are different kinds of body types, and some people have the healer body type. We usually have a combination of different body types, and people that have more of the healer are more sensitive. I think there are there's some of the other traits that can lead to a bit more openness and sensitivity. So really I'm looking at a combination of different traits, and I can see what's happening in a person. So I can say a little bit about what types of ways they're more sensitive, more aware of their environment, of other people around them. And I very much also see it as a gift. It can be a challenge if we don't listen to those messages, right? If we're not able to honor it. And for kids, they often don't know how to express what it is that they need. So for parents, it's learning how to understand what's happening for the child, and how to support them, what to create for them, what to change for them. Yeah. And I do body psychology coaching too, so all kinds of ways of supporting the body to support us through things. I think mostly with sensitivity, it's about shifting whatever is not working, and then based on what I see in eyes, there could be predictions of what that might be. And then I do what I call at times emotional energy healing, where I'm able to tap back in kind of emotionally, psychologically to people and their histories. And sometimes just by talking about things and helping people make connections, there are things that like sort of open up and release from having the connection, or for feeling the sadness that's underneath something from the past, and lets that heal. Yeah. So I'm mostly here supporting tonight. There might be something that I want to share, and mostly I'm here to support all of you. So I think that there's more probably little bits that we each might say about energy and energy healing too. I want to give some space for that. I was thinking I want to read what I posted in the event, and then also I want to read a little off of, again, pronunciation, Katerine's website. And beautiful, kind of some framing a little bit. Maybe a little bit that we have on the event is energy healing is a gentle and effective modality for anyone. Using techniques which can be done with no extras and simple enough for little ones, we can release blockages, calm people, and help everyone move forward in their lives. We'll provide a holistic approach and a safe and supportive physical environment with a focus on the blessings in every moment. How does one see blessings in tough times? It's a matter of perspective and letting go of what should be to accept what is. Special needs includes all sorts of flavors, including empathic, intuitive, energy and environmentally sensitive, physical and metabolic differences, as well as descriptions such as autism. Some of us believe in awesomeism more than autism, knowing that these children often have special gifts and sensitivities which are best honored and are mostly overlooked. They can be very sensitive to what is going on around them and what is happening on the planet. We'll alleviate the burden of how some special needs kids take on all of these energies around them, so they have more space and ease in their body. We didn't know if any kids would join us tonight. It's possible we have some kids that will be joining us. And then a little bit off of Katerine's website, she said, special children, right, instead of special needs children, special children. They're here to teach us about the world of differences and extremes, about that place in our hearts that holds the flame of unconditional love and compassion. They bring forth the ultimate gift to soften and heal our hearts. You know, as I'm reading this, in some ways, this also applies to the special sensitive parts inside all of us. Even if we don't fit in a category that other people would call special, we have special parts. They know of their rights to be themselves. Maybe I missed something here too. There we go. They bring forth the ultimate gift to soften and heal our hearts. In their presence, judgments of the self and of others seem all of a sudden vain. They know of their rights to be themselves. Being sensitive is simply their birthright. Deep within this understanding lays the key to a different kind of inner freedom. As we drop judgments, unconditional love can arise. This amazing gift is the counterpoise of all their struggles. This is true for every single one of us. It is so important to make peace with it. As we learn and find a way to hold both of these aspects simultaneously in our lives, we're moving closer to a state of being that can transform the illusion of duality while having a glimpse into oneness. Just a little bit more. Working with special children has taught me how to slow down the pace of life. It is a gift in itself. Being more present in the moment and breaking down movements in simple steps is a powerful way to feel and experience greater depth in life. As a result of working with special needs children, I have learned to live my life more fully, consciously working on prioritizing heartful living. Yeah, so that's a bit from her and what the inspiration was for today. Well, so given that as a bit more of a context, what else would you all, the practitioners, just like to share before we get started answering questions tonight? Feel free to just jump in if there's something that arises for you. Just go ahead. Go ahead, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, when I work with people, I don't make a distinction between who they are. I think we're all blessings and gifts, and it's our differences that if we start seeing the differences in human beings, we start seeing them from a whole light. We all are energy. So I work a lot with nature, with gemstones. If you're doing the breathing exercises, to do 10, 27, or 108 if you have on your mala. But to be aware of the energy that's around you. What energy are you getting out? And you have to first, if you're dealing with a special needs person, you have to first make sure you're centered, grounded, healthy, strong, and prepared. So the 15-minute exercise, I recommend that you do it with a significant other together. You do it with the special needs. It doesn't, but if they don't want to do it for whatever reason, then do it for yourself so that you can be more wholly there, whatever it is. So that's all.
Great. Any of the rest of you want to jump in? Feel free.
Yeah. Oh, go.
Sorry, you just muted again.
Okay.
One.
Okay, I'm going to jump in.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I agree that this whole special needs label is, it's challenging to me, because when I hear special needs, I think there's a problem. And this panel has gotten me thinking now already that kids are far more receptive. I know in my personal experience, she's in kindergarten, and she is far more receptive, and we all understand that she's here to teach us things. And then when my own kids were growing up, my middle son we would do labyrinths, and he would have mystical experiences in front of it. Does that make him special? That makes him special, but then all kids are special. And so this is helping me break down that stereotype, because that's not going to do anybody any good. So I think energy work helps with anybody. It may even help with those who may have those differences in, they're not neurotypical, can we say? And so I think they may even be more receptive and be a new generation of stuff, of people. Yeah, I think I'm good. Thanks.
Okay, I'm going to jump in real quick. One of the things that I've been thinking about, and it was funny because I was working with the beings that I work with, and we were discussing this fifth dimensional paradigm of parenting and sort of what that means. And then, of course, when I was done with that, I checked my email, and Lorelei had sent out, "Hey, we're having a panel coming up." And I'm like, well, if for no other reason than synchronicity, then yes, of course, even though I always want to do anything Lorelai's doing anyway. But what I do think it's important to, okay, so one, and I think this is important to say, I do not have children in this lifetime. And so I think that's important. However, I do come from the quote unquote special needs or highly sensitive child. And I want to bring, remind all of us that it is important to recognize that even though you may have an awakened child, that this child is still here to have a human experience, and you may be helping them more navigate this third dimensional world that we're all sort of cohabitating at the moment. And to also remember that it's not all rainbows and unicorns, even though I wish that it was, because there are parents that have children who are going through that are diagnosed with awesometism or autism, that are like 6 foot Black men right now that have autism and are on the other side of puberty, and puberty and autism is a really challenging part, and they have aggressiveness that's coming out of them. And so these are really hard areas to navigate, which is why I'm really glad that there's a lot of people on the panel that can help with these aspects. But I just want to remember that there is also that end of this spectrum, and then one of the things I think that is needed in the shift of parenting is that a lot of the indigo and quote unquote first wave children are now adults having children. So I always like to remind parents that it takes a high vibrational parent to bring in a high vibrational child. So if you're sitting there with an awakened child, that means something. And so I believe that it's a really important to rely on the child's innate spirituality to be the catalyst for your own personal growth. And that, like, we're not really here anymore as owners of our children, but we're here to co-create with them and to learn with each other. So it's like you have an ally, right? Of course, you still have to help them with like the basic things, and boundaries are really important. But this isn't really, and just to remember, because I know if I were a parent, I would maybe feel like all these people on this panel are telling me that I'm a horrible parent, right? Like, if anything, I want to connect you to your own spiritual gifts and your own telepathy, so that if you have a child that's not speaking yet, that you can rely on your own telepathic gifts to communicate with them, to help them understand that it's still a pretty good idea to actually get like your human English language going, so that you can communicate with other children, because they're really connecting. A lot of times children don't want to speak because they're already speaking on so many other levels and layers, but then it's conflicting because they're also hearing other children sort of be unkind to them. So I think we're all kind of going through this period of time together that's tricky, but I just want parents to feel when they leave this, to feel empowered. That's all I want to say right now.
Anyone else want to share a bit? Yeah, Emiko, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm an empath, and then I'm having, receiving some senses right now. It could be one audience here, or it could be someone who has a special need kid. But what I have is very anxious, and then feel like the parent, especially the mother, who feels not enough, and who feels gotta be stronger, and who feels cannot cry or cannot say something negative. But actually children are not hoping that. I believe anything that comes up like that, I encourage you to hold your child, and then take a moment. Even if you are frustrated, and even if you are angry, even if you wanted to cry, hold the children and hug the children. Hug your child, and take a moment and share your emotion, which is even negative or positive. When you wanted to laugh, when you wanted to be cry, when you wanted to cry, or when you feel any feeling, just hold them and hug them. I'm sorry, my language is kind of, especially the art, some we Japanese, if you believe or not, we Japanese don't use a lot subject usually. We don't say I, he, she, or you, or something. That's why kind of mixed up. I'm sorry. But hold your child, and then hug their child, and or even just take a hand and take a moment, even just a 30-second, or hopefully just a few minutes, and don't say anything. That's good enough most of the time. But you don't have to be perfect. You can cry, share, anything comes up. You grow with your child. As I am a mother of two, I've been growing, even though they are not labeled as a special needing kids, but I know they are highly sensitive people, and I am too. So just don't fight with your emotion or anything that you feel not missing or not enough. Just let it go and share with loved ones. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else anyone wants to share about? It can be just about energy healing too, and just saying more about energy healing as well as special kids. All right, great. Well, we are available to answer questions. So you've heard a bit about who we are and how we work. I know a little bit more that's been put in the chat too, some other references. Let me look. I know Kat wrote something. Yeah, it's great. So we're available to answer questions. So it's $15 to answer a question, or to ask a question, and then probably all of us will jump in and answer. And then Katarine will also respond privately. And here's the information on asking a question. I don't think anyone has signed up ahead of time to ask us. And I say it can be a very, like, you all might, it might be great if you all give examples of different kinds of questions. You might have someone in your life you have questions about. You might have questions about you and really honoring you, you know, and different things that come up, and, you know, some healing that might happen that we do with each other right in the event. And yeah, so just we're open. Yeah, so if you all have examples of questions too that people might ask, that's great. Yeah, if you just feel free to just jump in, and practitioners, and just share like examples of what people might ask today.
I was just going to say that for those of you that are here that don't have children, all of us have inner children that may need healing, or there's parts of us that parts of ourselves that you may have questions for. That didn't really make any sense. Now my yous, we's, and I's are mixed up, and I don't even have a language excuse other than it's always mixed up. So think about, you know, the child in you or the sensitive in you, and you can ask the questions like that, I guess.
Yeah, I guess part of what Kat wrote about was about getting an IEP for the school system, and like as being just a strategy for working with the, you know, practical reality of the school system and allowing kids to have extra time. It's super supportive of people. So then, not something to be ashamed of. It's really just a way of honoring our process, whatever that is. You know, the environment of a classroom is just so not conducive to learning for so many people, right? There's usually not fresh air. You're supposed to stay sitting. It's just horrible. Let's see, someone asking, oh yeah, Satori asked a question for me. Yeah, that's true. Satori has a good idea too. If we don't have any questions right now too, if some of you have children, right, or kids in your life that you want to just share a little bit about, in whatever way you're allowed to share the information, just be aware that this is being recorded and this will be posted online. So sharing in whatever way is honoring of you. Yeah, but if anyone has a question, we'd love to answer your question. Sorry, someone jumping in?
Could I share?
Who is this?
Could I
Just
share?
is this?
This is Tai Tai.
Hi, yeah, sure, go ahead.
How are you guys doing? First, I'd like to thank every single one of you for making a difference in people's lives that need help, because I myself was a child that had the horrible childhood, because unfortunately I grew up in a country where there was a lot of war. I was kidnapped, beaten, abused, all that kind of horrible stuff. And I grew up in a time frame where the family would be in a sort of denial if something's wrong with the child. They always wanted to deny that, you know, you have ADHD or you've been impacted by the surrounding that you lived in. And so that kind of led to having parents that are frustrated because they didn't know how to properly deal with the situation to help their child, even though they had all kinds of good intentions. Sometimes you ended up getting spanked excessively because they were just trying to make sure that you wouldn't bother people around you, like your neighbor's kids, and you wouldn't be, you know, a bad kid at school, even though I was very bright. And I luckily had my mom around me, supporting me all the way throughout high school. And when college came around, I even invented a couple of things. I mean, that's how, you know, I was lucky in my lifetime. And but when I went away for college, I didn't have my mom to be sitting next to me when I was studying anymore. So I was on my own, completely lost. And I went to University of California at Berkeley. And unfortunately, I reached a point where I just completely tanked and I started to fail. And I had no clue what was going on. I had lost all kinds of confidence. And, you know, after suffering for so many years, I eventually came across somebody who looked at me and said, "Hey, I think you have a learning disability." I was like, "What do you mean? What is that?" He goes, "You need to go checked out." So I went over to the student center that we had, and I was so glad to bump into professionals that understood, you know, what kind of things I had. And I sat down and I did some testing for a few days. And the person asked me, "Well, what is it that you want? How can we help you?" I said, My only problem is I cannot focus when I'm in class. I have a problem focusing when I'm studying, and I just can't concentrate because if the clock is ticking or somebody's playing with his pen, you know, I just can't study. And sometimes when I sit at home, I just can't focus also. So, you know, professionals, especially in college, they take those kinds of things very seriously because sometimes people try to abuse the system because everybody wants, you know, to have extra time on a test or a separate room. But after they determined that, you know, I did need some help, they prescribed me some medication. It was a Strattera, which ended up making me very sleepy. I kept missing class. And then I reached a point where I said, I don't need this medication. If I have the extra time, I'm just gonna try to fight it off without medication. So I went back, gave a second shot. This was after I dropped out for a couple of semesters. I had a dean who wanted to kick me out of school. That's how bad it became. You know, my family was completely like super, you know, sad about it. You know, I had some relatives that even in a way disowned me. That's how I felt. I didn't tell him. I called the dean back. I said, I'm not a failure student. Just give me a chance. You know, he finally said, okay, you can come back for one summer, try one semester, and if you don't do well, that's it, you're out. So I came back, I begged the teacher. I said, listen, you know, I'll do whatever you want. I studied really well. She's like, okay, well, I got an idea. How about we pick a student that's failing and you teach them? Because I realized that you like to teach from your, you know, observing you in class. So I met a student and I tried to teach him the same material. I was taking advanced calculus and I was teaching him. He ended up getting a B. I ended up getting an A minus. The teacher said, you know, I completely have confidence that you could do this stuff. So I went back to the dean. The dean looked at the form. He couldn't believe it. He signed my admittance back to the university. The first thing I did is I switched my major. I'm like, I've had it with this dean. Let me go to another major. And I switched my major from chemistry to biology. And the deans there were so understanding. They were so nice. And if it wasn't, you know, I can say 100% for sure, if it wasn't for the therapists at school and it wasn't for their understanding and compassion, you know, I would have flunked out of college. I ended up graduating with honors from Berkeley. And my objective in life, even though I'm not a professional, everywhere I go, no matter what job I have, I try to impact and make a difference in the child's life that, you know, has any kind of a disability. I've volunteered for kids that have special needs, who physical needs. I used to help them out in swimming pools, how to walk. And my entire life has been just volunteering wherever I could contribute. And even with my kids today, I have 3 kids now, happily married. And I even ended up marrying somebody, you know, that's a special needs person, because I, you know, saw how she described that she had some relatives that would, you know, end up giving her really difficult tasks to do because they knew she couldn't do it. And I told her, those relatives of yours, they're mentally disabled. They just don't know it. You're physically disabled. These guys are mentally disabled, which is a lot worse than you. You know, you're a nice person. And I loved her so much, I wanted to marry her. And even though people around from my old, you know, community, they were saying, oh, no, don't marry that person. She can't carry your kid. I said, you know, forget that. So you know, defied all their beliefs, and I'm really happy with my life. And I just want to say, again, thank you so much for contributing your lifetime, you know, for making people's lives a lot better.
Thank you so much for sharing your story. It's so beautiful in so many ways. I went to Berkeley too. I know what Berkeley's like, and it's hard finding one's way through that structure. I'm so glad that you found people that were willing to be with you as a person. Beautiful. And I love the teacher that gave you the opportunity to teach as a way to find your way through.
Thank you.
Yeah. Do you want to share, what are the types of work that you do in the world now? You shared some of the ways that you volunteer and support people. What do you do?
Believe it or not, I'm a breast cancer researcher. And I've even, I've had grandparents that I lost to cancer. And so the same with my parents. And I wanted to contribute to that field. And I do cancer research. So I was working at the lab in Berkeley. Right now I'm out of the country because of the Corona scare. And And if I tell you how my parents raised me, the people that kidnapped me when I was a kid, and my mom found out because she used to help a homeless person on the street who tipped off my mom. And my mom never believed that, you know, those people in my neighborhood would do something like that because she was a really nice person. Those people, right now I'm visiting, those people live next door to where I'm staying. And I go and help them out. Now they're old and senile. Her horrible husband has died. The woman was, you know, the old person, and every time they need some kind of help, I go help them because I was raised that way. And my wife says, I can't believe you actually help out people who did this to you. And I said, it's not up to me to decide what's going to happen with them. God will eventually, you know, take care of them, and karma will take care of them. But my mom raised me in a way that, you know, it's, you know, you help out everybody you can. And it's not, you know, revenge is not something that's, you know, in my family's dictionary. And, you know, it's, I mean, my wife's a pharmacist, and, you know, she even goes over and checks out their medication, which is so bad. You know, for people here, if I tell them, you know, what we're doing, everybody will be like, you're nuts. You know, you should be killing this woman. I'm like, no, it's not up to me. You know, my objective is to go home, sleep happy, because there's nobody that in my life I did harm to. And I could even tell you, I worked 1 year in the American University here. You know, I'm in Lebanon right now. I'm Armenian, born in Lebanon. And my boss, when he found out that in addition to my job, I was a fundraiser. In addition to my job, I wanted to make sure all the children with learning disabilities, you know, had their rights to be able to continue in school, because I found out there was a professor that wouldn't let a blind person take a class. And eventually, you know, a year later, I found out somebody fought for her. She took a chemistry class. You can only imagine how difficult chemistry was. I mean, I could see, and I had chemistry classes where I literally got, excuse my language, I got my butt kicked, right? Because they're so difficult. This person was blind. They couldn't even see, and they aced the chemistry class, you know. And I went back to my boss. I'm like, listen, you don't understand what potential people with disabilities have. You know, I'm a person with a disability. The day I told him that, everything in my job, the tables turned around, everything was bad. A month later, I found out from him my contract's not getting renewed. And I was a good fundraiser. You know, they asked me to raise them $50,000. I brought them $300,000. You know, people, you know, this stereotype and, you know, injustice in this world, unfortunately, exists. And I was telling him, if you were in the States, even though you work at an American institution, you know, you would be penalized so hard, because, you know, I could literally go to court and, you know, sue you because these students have an obligation. I mean, I could just give you an example of something they did. You know, in the library, you know, you're supposed to have all kinds of privileges for people with special needs, right? You know, and then I was telling him, I just found out that blind students, you know, who are supposed to have a room that's very easily accessible, have a room that's in a different building on the 4th floor. I said, if I'm a person that wanders into this university, I don't even know where the library is. What about a blind person or a person in a wheelchair that has to go to a different building, go up to the 4th floor? You know, that's just
Right,
doesn't make sense.
Not very accessible.
Not very accessible
Yeah.
at all. You know, or if you go to a dean, the dean of student affairs, and you're trying to talk to the dean, and his secretary believes that, you know, if restroom has a disabled sign, then it's perfectly disabled accessible. And I was like, no, it needs to be wide. There are forms and regulations. And finally, I found out that there was a committee, and they're working really hard to make the university accessible. It's just going to cost millions and millions. But my point is, some people do exist in this world that make our lives much, much more difficult. And I'm just worried about my kids, because I don't know if, you know, what happened to me was purely because of the environment I lived in, or it was, you know, genetic. And I'm always observing my kids very carefully, and I'm very tolerant. And I mean, you know, the rule in my house is I don't never touch my kids, no matter what they do. I just sit down, talk to them, and you could just wonder how many plates, TVs, things have broken, and I just laugh. You know, my wife sits there and she's surprised. I just laugh if whatever they do. I just tell them to do whatever, because, you know, sometimes I tell my wife, see that chair? I got punished for a whole week because, you know, my brother was running after me and I broke that chair once, and my mom punished me for a whole week.
Right,
You know, and right now,
Right, your mother not understand, right, your parents not understanding, and then the consequences that they gave to you.
She didn't know, and my mom was a really nice person. She helped out everybody in this community, everybody. I mean, she would, you know, I sometimes wonder how come I don't have any of my childhood belongings. She gave it all away. She'd buy medication for the poor people here, but she just never knew, you know, or maybe she was embarrassed because her family, they're a little bit old-fashioned, and, you know, in the culture, it's like that. And, you know, it's, you know, that's,
It's right, the
that,
struggle, some people really understand and some don't, and it can be really hard, and finding the way to the people that understand and utilizing the way the system can support us.
yeah, my uncle, my wife's dad, he was a physician. He's the poorest physician I've met in my life. You know, he lived poor, he died poor. And the last day when he died, you know, I was running around trying to make sure what kind of care I could get, because his family, you know, again, they're Armenian, they're Christian, they got, because of their religion, you guys are familiar, you know, with the war in Iraq a few years ago and ISIS and all that bad stuff that happened. They got kicked out of there. Their house got taken over. His son got killed by those ISIS people. And then my wife was the only person that could run out of the country, and her sister went north and she's stuck over there. And then the dad, he couldn't even go to his son's funeral because he was in shock when his son died from a car bomb. He was working in a store. The dad was volunteering in the hospital, turning the hospital around, and his son was in the emergency room and he was upstairs. He had no clue that his son was waiting in line because he was too shy to tell him, my dad's a physician here, please let me through. Eventually he ran out of blood and he died. So when he went home, he was looking for his son. His son wasn't there. After, you know, a day, he found his son in the morgue and he couldn't believe it. And he just hated his profession because he said, my entire life I dedicated to work for free, helping people. And I can't believe my son died in my own profession. I couldn't even help him because I was 2 stories up and he was waiting in line, and he's too modest, you know. So after he had a stroke, he recovered. Years later, when, you know, he came and he lived with me, when ISIS came over, he found out that they bulldozed the entire cemetery for Christians, and he just had a complete fit. He said, my son's not even gonna sleep in peace. Even after he died, they're gonna bulldoze his cemetery. And he had a stroke the same exact day. And that was it. He became paralyzed, he couldn't talk, and he completely physically became paralyzed. So, you know, his wife and him, they don't have much money. They only had like $13,000. And I told the wife, listen, you're living with me from this moment on. You know, you're not going to spend a penny because I know what it's like to be old and not have any money. So I started selling all my furniture, whatever I had to take care of him. And the wife's like, you can't carry him. So I invented a machine to carry him. And after I realized how good of a machine it was, I was like, I could help all the physically disabled people here in the country for free. I just need to get the cost of this equipment. I'll weld it myself. I'm pretty handy. So sometimes that's what I do here now. You know, whenever I find somebody that really has the need, I go visit them. I make sure they really do need it. They're not going to copy the design and try to sell it, because if I was going to sell it, I would have sold it a long time ago. And I just go give them a machine. I said, this is a loaner. Whenever you don't need it, you know, I'd like to have it back because somebody else needs it. And
I appreciate all the ways that you're utilizing your life to support other people and care for other people.
thank you.
By the way, just a couple things, and I know Carrie has her hand up. The icon that you have for yourself is a stuffed animal, and just a few moments ago, Verna had her cat come up and was holding her cat. I just wanted to mention how healing animals are for people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Always had my pets around. I always do. I could tell you the longest pet I've had, which hasn't broken my heart yet because hasn't died, is a tortoise. I'm 42.
Oh, a tortoise?
My tortoise. Yes, and my tortoise is 46. It's 4 years older than me, and he probably outlived me too.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, Carrie had something I think that she wanted to share. Go ahead.
Sure, I just wanted to comment. First, Tai, my gosh, thank you for sharing the remarkable story of what you're contributing to everyone in your life. And thank goodness you had the support and you had the perseverance to push through and finish your degree. And anyway, I just wanted to thank you for that, sharing that with us. It was quite touching. And I just wanted to comment on, so in case you didn't hear, my background is in public school, as a public school teacher now I'm an energy healer. And but most of my career was in special education, and so I've done a lot of advocacy work for children with special needs, because, and then with the energy work and the intuitiveness and some of the studying that I've done, I just come to realize I already knew they were special, you know, a special place in our heart and things, but children with, whether they're medically fragile or have, we call it awesomeness, something like that, where we're talking about children with autism, anyone with ADHD, and who move into adulthood. I just want to acknowledge that a lot of those people with special needs really have really amazing capacities that I think gets overlooked. So in our public system, people tend to think that there's a wrongness rather than it being a difference. We talked about having a difference, and really looking at those as capacities, because I just have an awareness that people with ADHD have amazing gifts and capacities that get overlooked because you can't sit still and listen, you know, to an instructor for hours on end. Whereas you heard the clock ticking, you heard pencils tapping, you are so aware. People with ADHD are so aware, they're actually multitaskers. They can do, my husband's ADHD, and he gets things done so fast. I'm focused on one thing, and he gets things done in half the time that I do, and I don't even know how he does it. There's a a magicalness about people with some of these capacities that we've kind of labeled as wrong. So I just wanted to kind of acknowledge that, and as an energy healer and intuitive person, I just can see that the gifts in people, and we all have our gifts, we definitely do, but I just have a hard time with the wrongness of people who are truly gifted and have so much to be sharing with the world. And so Tai, thank you for advocating for yourself and being where you are now, because what are the gifts that you're able to contribute at this time?
Oh,
Because of what
I thank you for illuminating me, but I want to emphasize to everybody that's a parent in this group and they have kids with special needs, that as a person with special needs, I can assure you 100%, I felt like I was a railroad car that was off the tracks, and if it wasn't for the angels like you in your profession, you know, I would not have been placed back on the tracks, you know, because I'm 100% confident in that, 100%. You know, therapy, you know, with a therapist that's understanding and could realize the problem and has a solution, you know, is the most essential part for guiding somebody, you know. And you know, luckily, you know, I met the therapist when it wasn't too late. And if there are any names in my entire life that I could remember, like, you know, the most special people in my life, like my dad, my mom, my brother, it's also my therapist names, you know. And you guys are truly the angels, you know, that make, you know, this big difference in this world.
Thank you. By the way, people have shared some lovely things for you in the chat, and I know Galactic Ashley has something to share too. I don't know if you can see the chat. People are sharing things like amazing and God bless, and prayers for doors to open so you can continue to be the amazing humanitarian that you are, and prayers for breakthroughs in the cancer research.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate it. And I wish the best for, you know, everybody's challenges, because, you know, sometimes I wonder, you know, life is a challenge by itself. And if there are no challenges in somebody's life, it would be pretty boring. You know, we all have our daily challenges. And since you were mentioning about, you know, people, you know, with ADHD having, you know, that gift, I could just tell you, my wife knows how crazy I get when I focus on something. She goes, you're either 100% or you're 0 if you don't have interest in it. Like, for example, you know, when I decide to lose weight, you know, in the last 3 months, I've lost 45 pounds, you know.
Wow.
And my wife's like, you're crazy. I cannot see the dedication. I get up at 1 a.m., you know, I walk for 4 hours and then go back home, sleep, get up, continue my day. Yeah. And anyways, I don't want to take up your time, but, you know, thank you so much. I'll mute myself.
Oh, you're welcome. I know Galactic Ashley had something she wanted to say. Go ahead.
Yes, sorry. I was just gonna, was laughing during parts of your story only because I went to UC Davis for pre-veterinary medicine and also nearly flunked out. And I kind of had a very similar experience. I was not, I was struggling with depression. I wasn't actually diagnosed with ADHD until during grad school. But I did end up graduating with honors in grad school, but I was also studying something that was a lot more up my alley, I guess. So there's so many overlapping features of you, Tai Tai, that I completely understand. But I guess I wanted to bring back to the group as a whole. I really believe that a lot of times people that have these gifts, their lives, especially their childhood, are oftentimes front loaded with a lot of, just going to say, pain, and a lot of difficulties in their nuclear families. And a lot of us are here, even if we're not consciously aware of it, we're transmuting energy within our family human DNA lines and ancestral lines. And then in someone's case like Tai Tai's, like he's, by choosing not to use different disciplinary tactics with his own children, he's rewriting contracts through history in the present. And I'm a big believer in we walk the human story. We are meant to transmute in others. So usually the door that we walk through that is sort of wrought with pain and fear is often the door that if we can meet it with love and devotion, we can move through that door. And that's really a door to our own awakening. And it's definitely not easy. But I always also resort to the fact that we chose to come here for a specific reason. And clearly Tai Tai, and I'm sure a lot of others in this group, have chosen to look at their diagnosis, whatever it may be, as a gift. And if anybody can look at their struggle as a gift, I find it to be helpful.
That's great. Thank you. Well, I'm putting the information in the chat again about the basics of our event tonight. So there are 7 of us here tonight and 8 of us total that are participating, that are talking about energy healing and special people, kids and adults. And we're available to answer your questions. I'm putting everyone's information in the chat. Maybe I'll put the basics again at the bottom. It's $15 if you'd like to ask a question of the panel. It's great if you want to ask a personal question, keeping in mind that it is recorded. And if you want to do work with any of us in private too, everyone's contact info is in the chat so that you can reach out to any of us. And if you're having any trouble finding anyone, just reach out to me. I'm Lorelei Schmeil and I run the event. It's a MeWe Awakening panel, and I'll get you in touch with a practitioner. Oh, Susie has something to share. All right, go ahead, Susie, jump in.
Let me get my unmute button. What I'm hearing in Tai Tai's story, and then in the experiences that I've had with other kids and other people, is especially at this time where the schools have to shift what they're doing. This is about our perspective. If Tai Tai hadn't had these professors who could see things from outside of what's considered the norm, I mean, the norm is now changing. I have friends who have kids with particular auditory sensory challenges, and in fact that being able to work online has helped them move further through it. So there's a greater task for the coming in body with these differences in their neural pathways, and it's to ask us to look at things differently, to have a different perspective so we can approach things from outside of what's considered the norm, so that we can pave new ways to help people cope and to learn. Yeah, I think that's it. Thanks.
That's great. By the way, I got a question about a question. Questions can be asked out loud to the whole group. Questions can be written in the chat. They can be written privately to me in the chat and I read them. There are all sorts of ways that this can work. It's really open to you. You can always pay and you can ask a question anonymously if you want. All kinds of options. Yeah, and it looked like Sandra had something she wants to share. Go ahead, Sandra.
Yeah, just piggybacking on what Susie said, I also was an instructor. I spent most of my time at the tertiary level at the university, but my specialty was learning styles. And so I taught all over the world in online courses, teaching teachers how to be sensitive, because IQ score is just about language and math. And we learn in multiple ways, you know, the kinesthetic learner, the nature learner, the music learner. And the more, what I did when I did teacher training was to get people, the teachers, to look at students from a whole different lens, where you're looking at it from 9 different multiple styles. They say they're even up to 12 learning styles, that everybody excels in different ones of them. Not everybody is a good mathematician, and that doesn't make you less than or less intelligent than just because you don't have the mathematical skills. Not everybody has the musical skills, but music and math are often linked together. So the work that's going on with a lot of educators is training teachers, public school teachers and tertiary school teachers, how to recognize multiple learning styles and how to teach from the multiple learning style perspective, not just, you know, A to Z and linear, because a lot of, especially tribal people, learn non-linearly and not linearly. And our school systems are set up, which is a real dysfunction, because many of the special education students that I personally worked with in my career thought non-linearly. So they had to know the end product and see the whole picture before they could understand the pieces. Yet school is set up with, okay, chapter 1, learn that, we'll test you on it. If you do okay, you can go to chapter 2 linearly. But almost, they estimate almost 40% of the world's learners are nonlinear learners, which I am also. So it's understanding that people are amazing and they have all these wonderful abilities that make us so unique. So it's why I loved working with special needs children, because they didn't have all the labels on themselves. Other people labeled them, but you know, they didn't have the labels that we have. And they were able to just dive in and do things that gave them the opportunity to do it. So yeah, nice discussion. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you. All right. So a number of you have shared. Yeah, so we're available to answer questions. I don't think anyone's signed up yet to have us answer a question. And you can ask it anonymously. You can share who you are. You can go on video if you want. You can just write your question and we can read it. It's totally up to you. If you want to share it anonymously, just share it with me.
Could I share one more thought?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Okay. This is like, since it happened in my life, I guess every person, when they pass through something themselves, they end up having a different perspective. With my former job, you know, and this, you know, boss that I had, who, you know, I don't like calling people adjectives, because maybe if they haven't experienced something in their life, they don't know what it's like to be, you know, a person with, you know, a disadvantage in life, you know, in some aspects, right? I'm not going to say in all aspects, because, you know, like you mentioned, you know, we do have some, you know, gifts in this life. I was telling, you know, my former boss, I said, I know in your culture it's not an acceptable thing, and it's maybe embarrassing for you, for somebody to be, you know, somebody with learning disabilities and special needs, but you have to realize, if you help this program get developed and further acknowledged in this university as quick as possible. You know, this is not something that's only helping people with special needs. This is something that's giving an opportunity for anybody that is not a special needs person now, but might be later, because you never know. I said, you could get in a horrible car accident and all of a sudden you find yourself, your life completely changed. And you know, you're not gonna have any more options in this country. You know, you could at least come to the university, get an education, because it's a safe haven for you. You know, and some people don't realize that. Some people think if they're not, you know, special needs and their life is always gonna be, you know, non-special needs. They don't realize that something could change in their life and all of a sudden they find themselves, they're not the same person that they used to be, because this is life. Things do happen in life, things do change. You know, today you're a person with, you know, functional arms. Tomorrow you can be a person missing an arm. You could be missing a leg. You could have some kind of a horrible, tragic incident where you can't think like you used to. You can't, you know, comprehend like you used to. That's why, you know, I cannot overly emphasize how important it is for, you know, this field to be given as much as attention as any other important field in life, because anybody could you know, change from 100% of who they used to be, and their life could turn 180 degrees.
Yep, supporting individuals, supporting everybody, whatever our life path unfolds, and then supporting all of us as a society, benefiting from everybody being able to contribute what they're good at. Yep. And I know some of you are considering questions. Yeah, thank you, Tai Tai. It's so great to hear your voice and your story and your passion and your care and the people that have supported you. All right, we've got someone else joining us too. Great. And I've had other practitioners write wanting to be on another panel like this. So an important theme for practitioners and an important theme for people. Yeah, and you know, it may be also, it's a, you know, it's a slightly stranger context for asking questions, right? People that are more sensitive, being in a big group and being recorded. Yeah. I say, yeah, just, I touched on some of this with an ex with her son too. So the whole process of having him start school when he was 18 and IEP and yeah, finding out what supported him till he's out in the world working on his journey of life. And he friended me on Facebook. I was really proud that he, after years, friended me. It's great. Very supportive relationship with him. All right, Carrie's got something to share. Go ahead and jump in.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment. We talked about people with special needs tend to be really sensitive, kind of overly sensitive, will tend to take on the anxiety, and especially right now with the extraplanetary shifts and changes and the stress level. And so something to just kind of keep in mind for those of us participating tonight, if you have yourselves or friends and loved ones, energy healing is really a remarkable way to help with the body and bring more ease. Just a little plug, the one modality I do called bars is a hands-on process, but that is gently touching the head, and what that does is it releases the electromagnetic energy around your thoughts, feelings, and emotions. So for those who have the monkey mind and they're kind of, whether it's PTSD, current PTSD, what's going on, or something from the past, that you know, that thought process where you you just can't get things off your mind, that's a really relaxing technique. So, you know, we're here tonight because we're all energy healers. So just kind of keeping that in mind for anyone who's experiencing the trauma and drama of what's going on right now. It is just a wonderful way to check out, just relax. A lot of us work remotely, so I can do hands-on or remote right now. Our county is open for sessions. I'm in Beaverton in Oregon, for those of you who are local. But I just want to keep that in mind, because energy healing is just can do a lot of things that maybe, you know, if you need pharmaceutical support, you seek that. But energy healing can also be such a wonderful complement to anything else that you might be experiencing. So I just
what's happening with bars right now, where we're not in person together? Are people teaching others to do it to themselves online at all? Do you know?
I mean, yes, it's not encouraged. We are allowed to teach. At first, we were not allowed to teach bars online. It is something that they lifted for this time. It's very difficult because you really have to be with the person to show them where the specific places are. So it's an 8-hour class that people can attend. And so as things lift and we can have more gatherings, some people are starting to teach classes. I did offer one. I had 2 people come because I kept it to just 2 people who we've all been social distancing. I did half the class online, and then the hands-on portion we did outside, literally in my backyard. And so, we were making it work. But to answer your question, yes, it can be done online, but it's not ideal.
Yeah. Maybe could all of you just say a little bit, like, how are you practicing online right now? So what are the different ways that you're practicing? Yeah, so you say what you're doing online and say what you do when you're with people in person. Go ahead, as Susie was saying. But.
Okay, I have found that energy work can work virtually. I've done quite a few phone sessions, and the way that I lead it is by talking a person through it. There's a whole, with Reiki in particular, that's one of the levels, is learning how to do it remotely so you can send distance healing. I don't necessarily have to touch a person in a session. There are times when I have done face-to-face, and I've done something called polarity balancing, where you're touching different parts and activating different meridians. That's not so much of what I'm doing. I'm certainly not seeing people physically face-to-face because I'm high risk and I have a high risk family. So I also don't have an office. Oh, well, but I find that virtually it works as well for me, at least the way I do it.
By the way,
I guess.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say, I'm one of those people. I don't like being touched. So, and I've always been like that as a kid. And I understand why animals sometimes don't want to be touched, because a lot of other people aren't, this is aside from healers, right? They're not aware of their energy. So I don't want to be touched a lot of times. So I guess my point is that when I do energy work, there is no touching. And I'm not saying, I think touching is great for a lot of modalities. Now that I'm older, I can be very specific about who and why and when I go to someone. But I use light language during people's star sessions, and there are activations that happen, and I work in people's energy fields, and find that for me, especially from my personal experience, that especially if you align with being galactic, or you're an earth energy healer person and you believe earth is your home planet, but you're ready to open to galactic frequencies, I have found that me being able to connect to my quote unquote home planet has allowed me to really be able to exist here. So I'm basically working online, and happy to work online, although the extroverted part of me likes to go to fairs and chit chat with people. There's a lot that we can do, especially at an emotional level, and working with our own awareness, that becomes preventative medicine for us, so that we aren't having to work through talking to our body and finding out why does this hurt, and sort of working that way. Although when things hurt in our body, it's okay. It's not about judging. I do believe that the body keeps score, and sometimes things come up from other lifetimes that become physical. So there's nothing wrong with that. But yes, most everything I do is non-touching, because I don't necessarily love touching. And so sound vibrations and tones and things like that, I find very powerful. Thanks.
Great. So many different things I could share too. My friend Mary, who was possibly going to join us today and isn't here, but I've had so much trouble for years remembering the word altar. And so when somehow she was involved when I was asking about the word, and so she said, "Hey, can I clear that for you?" I'm like, "Okay." So I don't even know what she did. I know she does UN energy method healing, and I can remember the word now. I've thought of it several times in the last week. So right, sometimes right, healing happens for us if we're willing, and we don't even know what's going on. So. Yeah, is there someone more if you want to share about what, I know just different words, right? Different words together is very healing for people. Go ahead. Does Emiko want to share? Go ahead.
Yeah, I I do both way, and I sometimes go to the MeWe fair that Laura holds in Bellevue, Washington, or Seattle, Washington. In the time I asked them if they wanted to be touched, and it's okay to touch or not, and I don't have to touch them because still they can, without touching they can feel it. But if I touch it, kind of little bit slightly different energy, because direct contact through my hand. So some people declared something I feel really energy is coming into the body when I touch it. So that's one way. But besides that I do online like Zoom. And then when you do a Zoom, there's like Brady Bunch type of the screen, and besides that, that's a big one, right? And when I scanned in a big picture, I can feel the energy through the screen, and I can balance the auras and the chakras, and also I could do the release the blocks. And not only for that, I like one of my clients wanted me to send her healing light every single day for 30 days. And and so I meditate for her, and as soon as I started she feels it. So her she feels more more calming and not reducing the anxiety. So some sensitive people still feel when I do virtually or remotely, and even though they don't feel it, that's okay, because I feel it. When someone shifted even on virtually, I physically feel, oh, this person shifted a little bit, a lot, or something. So but either way it works to me. But it's slightly different when I see that face to face and then the touching. Thank you.
Okay, great. And we have a question coming. Yeah, go ahead. Anyone else wants to share, and I will find out how that question will be coming in.
I'll share. I was already doing 98% of my work on the phone anyway for the theta healings. And but 18 months ago, I was doing my feng shui in person only. And 18 months ago, I heard that I didn't have to be there. I could do it remotely. So I found that I was astral traveling, but I don't get, I can see the place when I go there, but it's more feeling the energy, because that's all the way that I practice feng shui anyway is about aligning your energy with the land and the trees and the grass and the home and the products. So yeah, I'm fine with doing online. It's mostly what I've been doing anyway. So, and I do miss though actually going to a place and feeling the energy in a home or on the land. But I still get it. I just don't. But anyway, yeah, it hasn't bothered me at all.
Great. Okay, so one person asked a question, and I'm trying to find out how they want to ask. So I'm just waiting to hear back on that. It's fine if it's anonymous, or you're welcome to just unmute and share. It's totally up to you, whatever you'd like to do. And you can...
I'd like to share too.
Oh yeah, Satora, go ahead, share.
Yeah, so my energy work, most of it can totally be online. The quantum energetic realignment works remotely just as strong as in person. The Jinjin Terra, which is touching the points, can be done remotely to some extent, especially the self-care portion of it. Yeah, so I just want to say the healing, it's way more fun in person and actually touching, which usually in a session I do that. We do flows. That's what it's called when you do several points. Any sequence of points on the body is called a flow. I prefer that. And at the same time, it's all I can do now is working online. So the energy of the quantum energetic realignment comes through fully online too. And the session is just structured a little different, that there is maybe a guided meditation, depending on what the person needs. It could be a guided meditation, or they could hold points on their own body, or we just bring our consciousness there. So it's just a little structured a little different, but it's no less effective. Thank you.
And I'm able to do some of my work online or remotely. We can just talk on the phone or Zoom call if they want to talk ahead of time about what the focus might be. And then most of the energy work's done remotely. And the bars process, again, is hands-on. But if someone's really sensitive, because some people who have the environmental sensitivities or sensitive touch, I can actually run bars a few inches off the head. So you just want to do what works. And so that can work as well for people.
Okay, great. We've got a question coming in. I'm just looking to see how to share it. Okay, let's see. So it's an anonymous question. Just the person is very touched by everything that has been shared, particularly how many people here have been teachers. Grateful for the experience as a special educator themselves. They're not eager to return to the classroom. They thought they could make meaningful changes from within, but the principle and structure was discouraging. And yet the education helped prepare this person for the intensity of recognizing needs within their own kids. They recognize their grandfather's eyes in their own daughter's eyes. They've completely changed their parenting approach as a result. So now they're hoping to restructure education from the outside, since they wasn't finding a pathway to do it from the inside. This person was angry as a child. They called themselves an angry kid, but one more person's joining us again. They think it was for defensive survival. Yeah, fear, fight, and protection. And probably anger in the way people were treating this person that they didn't know how to express, and people weren't listening when they said no. So they thought it was due to tough experiences, so they're working hard to protect and provide for their kids so the kids don't suffer in this way. And their 9-year-old is becoming angry and intense, but without the violence circumstances. Do we have insights on his journey? The parent is thinking that he's highly sensitive, but there's likely so much more that they don't realize, they don't know. So thank you so much. So they're looking, so you get a bit of the history of the context. Let's make sure everybody's muted. The history of the context, so grandparents and their own experience. And what's happening with both of their kids. So their grandfather's eyes and their daughter's eyes, and then their 9-year-old, sounds like is a son. So let's see, I'll just read, is becoming angry and intense, but without the violence circumstances. So probably like she's aware of in the life, right? There's nothing in the way he's being raised that's actively bringing that out, that it's actively responds to. Yeah, so what insights do we have in his journey? She's thinking that he's highly sensitive, and there might be much more that she doesn't realize. Yeah, and also just about changing education, now from the outside. So yeah, all kinds of different pieces that we might share about. Yeah, so practitioners, and you don't have to, you don't only have one opportunity. We can bounce around and come back to you too. So don't worry about that you have everything all together in your first response. And I put the notes. The notes were fine anonymous. I have them in our sheet, so you all can, practitioners, you should be able to see the link and read it again if you want to. Yeah. Okay, so Sandra, go ahead if you're ready.
Okay. Yeah. In my practice, the first thing I do when I work with somebody is release stuck emotions. Anger is one of our most powerful emotions, and it serves a very valid and important part. We need our anger to warn us when there's danger or something wrong. However, a lot of times anger is passed on through the DNA, and so it's passed on that way. A lot of time anger is about not being seen for who they really are, not being validated, and or they don't know how to be validated or who they are. So when people don't see them, they feel the anger. So it's a process of letting go. If you believe in past lifetimes, a lot of times there's anger unexpressed remains in our body. And it actually is in a physical part of our body, whether we've inherited it from our DNA and our ancestral line, or whether it's from past lifetime or events in this lifetime. When it's there, can it can fester, and it can even cause extreme illness at times. So it's a matter of learning how to deal with the anger and how to express it, how to understand what is healthy anger. And a lot of what I do when I release the stuck anger, because that's past, it's gone. It has no relevance. Whatever is past is just like a movie you went to and walked out of, or a book that you read. It's no longer true. So keeping the emotions in us about it really is unhealthy. So you release that, and then I teach how to, instead of reacting, which is where we go into the anger, is learning how to respond appropriately. So it's taking that step, and can't remember who it was talking about the monkey mind, but when the monkey mind takes over, it's all about fear, and that translates sometimes into sadness and depression, and sometimes into anger. So helping them to understand why they're angry, and is that anger a danger that they need to deal with and take steps, or is it more of an emotional personality thing that they need to understand and step into loving themselves more? So it's important to understand that. And if you went through that kind of anger yourself as an angry child and you're seeing it, what I'm hearing on the psychic level is that it is a real strong ancestral trait that's been passed down, that anger. I worked in the Middle East for a long time, and there was a lot of that ancestral anger about how they were treated, with Tai in Lebanon and Syria, with the Palestinians. And it's an ancestral thing passed down from generation to generation. So, yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Okay, great. We've got Galactic Ashley in line, and then Susie.
Okay, so real quick, I'm going to read something that came through the other day through the dragons, and it through this dragon consciousness that that basically is omnipresent in my world. And it makes a connection to sort of what's happening with the earth and also your question. So I'm going to I don't want to read too much of it. So the range between fear and love is also at some of its most extreme. Human as well as earth overlaying energies will continue to become more polarizing, and we're witnessing this right now. So this will be mirrored in your human outer and inner worlds. We are all here to have a human experience. The human condition is currently being challenged due to a history of being chronically underserved and undereducated in terms of emotional intelligence. The human collective is in a state of emotional overwhelm. The stages of grief move in the order they flow, and for anyone who has experienced deep loss, you know that grief is anything but predictable. It seems like it literally comes out of nowhere. there is a lot of collective anger out in the world. Anger, as we have previously discussed, is often a motivating factor to take action and can consciously be used in a positive way. It is a short-term, powerful energy used to spark inspirited action. However, it is also an energy that can be masking or covering a deep sadness. So there's more, but the first thing that came up is, one, I want to acknowledge that you are witnessing. The first thing that came up was epigenetics. And when you are looking in your children and seeing family members through their eyes, you are witnessing the areas that need to be witnessed. So in epigenetics, a lot of times what happens is within our ancestral history, people died, or there was depression, or there was anger, and those people were never witnessed. So that keeps getting passed down through our DNA. So if you can witness the anger that your child is expressing, and even go and find help to have any ancestral healing done within your family, these can be multiple ways to release the anger that is sort of manifesting in your family. And then the other thing is that if you, and I think this is important for anybody that has sensitive children, is that if you are upset, or if you are sad, or if you feel out of alignment, and if your child asks you if something's wrong, it's okay to tell them, no, I am not okay, but it's not because of you, right? Because if you tell them that you're fine, they know that you're not fine. And so all that does is it feels like they're being lied to, even though your intention is not to lie to them. So sort of being as transparent as you can with the child, right? They don't need to know the details, right? Because sometimes there's adult things that are happening in the family that are causing anger, or sometimes something outside. And there is so much anger going on right now in the world, and it's okay, but to have these sort of conversations is really important. And then, let me see, opportunity. Yeah, so I think, I feel like there's something with whoever asked the question that you may be called, because this has been coming up while there is chaos and complete sort of deconstruction or destruction happening. We need people that can build part of the systems that need to come online, because what is being deconstructed right now, or is being destroyed, are things like systems that were created in the old paradigm, and we're no longer honoring the old paradigm. We're shifting into this new earth, or the new earth grid, or wherever your belief system is, the new order, the new world, whatever term you feel comfortable with. So that means that we can't rely on a system that was created in polarity. So there is an opportunity for many people, and I feel like this may be part of the questioner's gift, is that you have an opportunity possibly to begin to create this new structure, because all that seems to have happened in the education world right now is that there's been a pause, right, for a couple of months, right? There's been graduations, but nobody knows exactly what's happening in the fall, right? And everybody kind of reconvenes in August. And then it's like, what are we going to do? And we don't know, but there's an opportunity for the really creative people out there to sort of bring up a new way, and that person isn't me, but that may be you, right? And so finding those things for you, and then working with your child. As I mentioned earlier, one of the things that anybody can do with parenting a quote unquote awakened child is to allow them to explore their gifts, and then to let them use their gifts on someone or with a family member, because you're building self-confidence, and then they feel seen. And that can like be so life-changing and shifting, and just having as many open conversations with your words, right? Because you're the empowered parent, and you know your child better than anyone. And so that's the most important thing. And then to just keep asking them questions. And then I'll stop there.
That's great. So we've now got Emiko in line, and then Satora. Emiko, go ahead.
Yeah. it is very strong emotion, anger is. And I believe one of the strongest emotion, that's anger. And then as other people said, anger can be a positive motivator. Just like my mom too. My mother was discriminated by the superior, and so she thought, well, one of these days, I'm gonna be better, and I'm gonna prove it to him. And so she worked harder, and then she got better, and that's really good way. And then that she released the anger, and she even appreciated that he created that her motivation. However, on the flip side is, and you probably don't notice until you release it, how anger eats your energy every single day. It's not only eat your emotion, but energy and everything and positivity. That's a takeaway, that's a taker, actually. And you don't realize until you release it. And again, it is not very easy. It's one of the hardest emotion that you need, that you can release it. But once you release it, there is a different world. However, again, especially mom's case, it's been for a long time, decades of the anger became the layers of the emotion. That's even harder than the a children's case. However, if you feel like you're ready to release it, I can help you. But again, you might consider to either make it positive, motivator, or release it to see the different world. That's your choice. Thank you.
Thanks, Emiko. All right, Satora, I know I've got something to share too.
So I would like to share, for simplicity, 2 simple flows from Jinshin Tara. The flows can be done for children, and they can do it for themselves if it's always a matter of motivating them. It can be done in a playful way. And it's a game. So there's a point under the arm, right here under the armpit, on the outside of the armpit, that is the point for self-love. So by holding the left side with the right arm and the right side with the left arm, you basically give yourself a hug, and you can do a self-hug and activate the self-love point. And I think that's something that could be really easy for children to do. And it could even be a little ritual in the morning or in the evening, or together at certain points. We do our self-hug thing. So right here under the armpit, on the outside of the armpit, under the arm here. Not under the armpit, under the arm. So that's a very simple one. And then there is another one that involves the same point and another point. And this is like a rescue remedy kind of flow. It's originally, I learned it for fear and panic attacks, but in my practice, I realized it helps with any intensity, any intense emotional state, and it helps to balance. So this is a little tricky, and this could be a good game. I'm sure a kid can easily do it, and it could be like a game like show me if you can do that. And it involves crossing the sides. So one hand goes, let's say, to the right side to the self-love point under the arm by the armpit. And at the same time, now it's a little difficult, we go to the foot. So on the left, so if we do the right armpit, we'll go to the left foot, and between the little toe and the next toe on the foot, there's this point between the bones there. So we hold this point with one hand and with the other point on the other side of the body. So if this is the left foot, it's on the right side under the arm. And then we switch sides. Oops, I lost my ball. And do the same thing. So if you had the right armpit first, you do the left armpit and the right foot. Preferably 3 times each side, but if that's too much, anything you can do is great. So for the kid to inspire them to do it, because it's a little tricky. So it could be a game like, can you do this? And for them to learn it. So, and this can really help with intensity, because you said he's, your son is becoming more intense, and calm him down and help him balance. I mean, not only him, anyone. And there is another one specifically for anger, but that's too complicated right now because it involves 4 different stages. But if you would like to know that, you can contact me, email me or so, and then I can tell you. Okay, thanks, I'm done.
All right, great, thank you. And then Carrie had something to share.
I was just going to add a kind of a simple strategy with children or anyone who's highly sensitive and more than likely empathic as well, is just acknowledging what are they taking on that's not theirs. A certain amount may not even be theirs, and so you could ask, you know, whose anger is that, or who does that belong to, or is that yours? Just to kind of bring some awareness to them so they can have a realization if it's theirs or not, and if it's not theirs, they can return it. So just kind of teaching that exercise, because you can do that with any thought, feeling, or emotion, because I just recognized how empathic I was. I didn't even know what the word empathic was 10 years ago. Empath, I didn't even know what that meant. But now I'm more aware, so all of a sudden, you know, I'll be in a space of, you know, having fun with friends at a restaurant when I used to go to restaurants, you know, a few months ago. And I would have all of a sudden be sad, and I'll like, wait a minute, I would realize that it's not even mine. And one time I asked a friend of mine, I'm feeling sad, and he's also very empathic, and he said, oh yeah, it's the table next to us. Oh, so many times we're picking up on other people's stuff, and there's so much of it going on right now. So for a little child who's not sorting out, is he really angry because his brother or sister just punched him and he's angry? Or is it because he's picking up on the neighbors and the planetary stuff and the anxiety and stress of the family, the dynamics, financial strains, and all these things that are grown-up problems are not a 9-year-old's problem. So just finding out, you know, gosh, you seem so angry today. Is that yours? You know, who does that belong to? And if he says it's not his, then the simple exercise is just say, oh, okay, well, let's just send it back. So you send it back with consciousness attached. And the reason you're doing that is because when you send it back, you want the other end to just also be aware that it's energy they can shift and they can change. So it's just a real simple tool that I picked up through the Access Consciousness. It's one of their tools and tips that is really works really well. And for a little guy, it's fairly simple. So.
Okay, great. I know I have some things to share. I got like a whole list of things too. Does anyone else, any of the other practitioners want to jump in and share anything else before I go? Yeah, just checking for other notes and things like that too. Okay. Let's see, I'll say bits about a bunch of things. So one, I use a set of 5 core feelings, like primary colors. And for me, anger is one of them. And we often mix up anger and fear. So for me, fear has many flavors. I use 4, and one of them is aggression. And so we misname it anger, but it's actually aggression for me, not anger. And so what I'm thinking is there might be some anger aggression mixed up in here. And so for me, feelings are like waves. And so having the wave peak and then decrease, like that's healthy. And if we get scared of the emotion, the feeling, and we block it and it hangs and sticks, that for me is where we often end up in trouble. So it's getting it unstuck is the big thing for me. So anger, for me, anger also is healthy. For me, anger is about boundaries. It's about yes and no. So it's about no, like stop, that doesn't work. And it's also the fuel for start, like I want something. So for me, anger is very useful. Let's see. So in my eye readings, I look at 7 different talents in people. And so your son's emotions that he's feeling might have to do with his talents. So for example, priestess particularly feels emotions deeply, and particularly in the evolution, the maturation of it, they go through phases where they feel bigger waves. And so priestess, they might notice how the world is out of integrity, how a person in their life isn't sharing authentically what's true for them. And they notice it more intensely. And the gap between the way people are showing up and what they sense is true or what they think is fair, they feel that much more intensely, emotionally, and they want to do something about it. So that's a natural, healthy impulse in an earlier stage of development. It could be like all kinds of different talents though. Like we all feel some intensity and struggle about different things that we value, right? So someone that has server might feel that much more offended when someone is cruel to someone else, or someone that has artisan and they notice the environment and are more sensitive to the environment. When someone next door is making some loud noise, or they're using like the thing that people blow leaves with that has terrible exhaust, like they may feel angry because there's an experience that's really confronting to their body. And it's not just about them, right? It's not good for the environment too. So they notice those kinds of things. So it may have to do with their purpose, right? It's just coming out in a way that's more intense right now. So we talked earlier about epigenetics. And so, right, things coming through your family could be showing up. Mom, so assuming that the son was inside you in utero, whatever feelings and emotions you're feeling, right, your child is experiencing all of those waves inside you too. So there could be things. So thinking back when you were pregnant with this child, what was it like? What feelings did you have? There could be some of that that's coming through. Not to make you wrong, just having an understanding can help create some ease. So also, often the lessons that we haven't finished with our parents can come out in our children. So mom, whatever you can do to go back and clean stuff up with your parents, it doesn't mean you have to interact with them. They don't have to be on this plane, but the more that you can clean that up and sort that in you and feel the healthy anger that's in you of how something wasn't okay. And often the parent that we think was the good parent, they often tolerated whatever was happening that wasn't good. And so there's a way of feeling healthy anger about all the parents, any of the parents, any of the people that were involved that didn't see what was going on and didn't stop things. I was giving examples of things it can be, but cleaning up whatever's here with your parents can support your son. And then another general theme is in a group, and so a family is a group. If people are not honoring the waves of some feelings that are present, whoever in the family, whoever in the group is the most open to that feeling, it will come through them. And so anyone in the family that's not addressing things, that's not, it could be you. It can, for example, if you were, like more the aggressive, angry when you were young, and you feel scared of that now, and so you keep some of it trapped and you're not fully feeling your own waves of anger that are healthy. It could be that more of it's coming out through your son because your son is also open to this too. So again, you looking to see what you can do for yourself so that you have healthy expression. And I'll give you some tools for that. But it could be someone else in your family too, right? So your son might be picking up something else that's going on with someone else that they just needs to get addressed. So I sent you some links in the chat, and I'll say a little bit for everybody. Anger and the aggression. So for me, the aggression, it's called fear fight. I don't find that helpful. So there's some body movements for shifting that to get that to ease and to stop. And then I think it's really healthy to feel our anger. And so for me, aggression is taking someone else down or taking something down to hurt something, whereas anger is like that clear yes and no. And so I sent 2 videos. One goes over the fear melter or the fear antidote. The fear melters are from Katie Hendricks. For shifting out of the aggression, and I'll show everybody what that is right now. And then there's another video that are some tools for how to actually feel anger in a healthy way. So the antidote for the fear, fight, aggression, and anyone that thinks if you have this come out in a sharp way of like, I do something about that, or I don't want that, I want that to change, I want to push at that. That's all the fear, fight for me. And it usually tightens and is sharp. And so if you notice any of this in you, so you might think about some topic in your life right now where you feel some of that. It might be something about the world. It might be someone in your life. So the antidote for this is to ooze. So if someone gave me another great visual for this. So you think of like seaweed under the water, and the waves underneath have this like just kind of back and forth. So I like to think of like a soap bubble and curving around a soap bubble. Any of these that are helpful. So whatever the like statement is that you'd be thinking that has that aggressive flavor, I think about something in the world of like, how could we, blah, 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 right? So the way to say this in ooze to have the shift is, how could we, stop. And so I still feel some of the intensity of the anger, but the leap out to do something is shifted. So it's curving around. So I think it's a bubble and curving around the bubble. And then it's often slowing down the way literally you're speaking and slowing down the way you're speaking in your head. So let me think again, what would be a time that I feel this about someone? Oh yeah, okay. Stop sending those messages. Stop sending those messages. And so, right, so I see laughing. So it often invokes laughing. It completely shifts the energy of the experience. So it shifts the aggression, the aggression, fight stuff out of the way. So then whatever other feelings are here can rise. And then for the anger, so the videos these are tools from Robert Masters, and I don't have my towel up here right now, but I have a washcloth I could use. So one of them is you want to do this in a way that takes care of your teeth. So anger is often in the jaw, head, shoulders, neck, shoulders, and back. And so this helps you experience the jaw anger. So you might notice like the tight jaws and things like this. So think about whatever the topic is, where you feel angry, and twist a thin washcloth, put this in your teeth back here and bite down. You're going to pull this forward and hold your vocal cords open. And just let the air come through and a little bit of sound. It doesn't have to be a big loud sound. And you'll see I'll do like a low sound. But so it allows you to tighten those muscles and really tighten them. So you're letting yourself feel deeply physically in your body. And there's usually some release that happens here afterwards. So that's one method. And so you can get your son to do this. Like you could do it and see if he'll do it with you. And you just talk about, hey, this feels really good when I do this, right? So just a demonstration to him and say like, it looks ridiculous. It feels really good. And the other is you take a bath towel. So get like a big long bath towel. So have it the long way, fold it in half, and then diagonally take it and twist it up and you hold it up against your body close. As you're twisting. And so then the same thing, holding the vocal cords open. And so now you're using all this. And so these are ways of tightening the muscles and letting your body really intensely feel it without like an external expression that can turn into aggression. So this allows the deep feeling of the anger. Yeah, so those are from Robert Masters. And then the Fear Melter of the Ooze is from Katie Hendricks. Yeah, so it's some of the body psychology work that I do. So these are some ways that you can like better understand where it might come from, see actions you could take, like that might help things shift, tools that you could do that might help teach him. And then just rotating back again to the anger, the no, and the yes. So asking questions, totally asking questions and try to see like, I want you to have what you want. What do you want? And if he doesn't have words, you can ask him to share and just sound and movement, and or just even the anger that he feels, just to say, share in a way that's friendly and safe and doesn't hurt him, it doesn't hurt the surroundings, but let him just express. And it might be no words. He might feel so much better because he's just getting it out and expressing. Okay? So these are examples of different kinds of tools that you might use. All right, great. Yeah, and that may have sparked other things for other people too, if anyone wants to share anything else. I don't think we have another question yet. Let me just double check. And because we can keep sharing if we don't have another
Yes,
one.
I felt a shift in energy in our lives. You were doing those exercises. I was like, whoa. It felt light. There's a lightness that shifted.
Great, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I don't see another question coming in yet. Okay, great. Yeah, so we're getting a thank you so much. Yeah, great. Sweet. Cool. Yeah, so I'm trying to think if anyone else is Yeah, who does this belong to? Yeah, you shared a bit about that. It's great. Yeah, cool. Oh. Yeah. And there's just this openness and wondering too, of like, what, how is this supposed to serve, right? How is this supposed to be of service? How is this? Yeah, where if you approach this with this open wonder, just to find out like what it is, not a desperation, like I have to find out, but just this, oh, what is the message? Right? Yeah, and this trusting your intuition of whatever comes in. And play with that. Doesn't have to be the right thing. Oh, and yeah, Galactic Ashley, if you wanted to share that, go ahead and jump in and say something about it.
Oh, it's not that there's a book called Power versus Force by David Hawkins, and basically, a lot of people like this chart, especially, or I don't know if you have a chart mind. I don't really have a chart mind, but anger is actually sort of somewhere in the middle, because anger can be releasing, but guilt and shame are like at the very low end of the chart. So I just think as far as emotions are concerned, just oh, here's a good thing that always helps me. So if I were to so let's imagine that there's a guy that is in like a theater. He stands up and he tells a joke, and then everybody laughs, and then he stands up a few seconds later and tells the same joke. Some people laugh, but not for very long. And then he tells the same joke again, and then nobody laughs, right? So the idea is, why are we so willing to not allow ourselves to laugh at the same thing over and over again, yet we're so willing to experience the same pain over and over again throughout our whole lives? And so that's just like something to think about, right? Because it's almost like the human consciousness is like anytime something good is happening, we're like waiting for the next shoe to drop, or like we feel unworthy, or we can't, or we don't deserve to continue feeling joy. And then we're also willing to meet joy being having to do with something outside of ourselves, when we're capable of feeling joy without an external experience to trigger the joy, because we're all more than happy to sit at home and feel in pain alone, right? So why can't we also challenge ourselves to sort of experience this joy vibration, which really is has nothing to do with, of course it's helpful, right? It just is, pain hurts more if it's coming from the outside of us. And if something's funny, or our dog does something funny, it's funny, right? But next time you laugh, allow yourself to keep laughing, and see how long you can keep laughing, or not resist experiencing joy. So that's all.
Great fun. I love that.
Yeah, I'd like to jump in here too, because as Galactic Ashley, that reminded me of when I'm working with people, I have a saying that human beings are the only animal that they can determine who do make a mistake in life and then just keep punishing themselves and punishing themselves and punish themselves. And that's what stored anger is, and guilt and shame and all of those contracting energies. You know, when I've worked with Down syndrome kids, they don't do that. They are so present and in the moment, and they're just like amazing. They don't hold grudges. They don't go for revenge. They get upset sometimes, but they just like get over it really fast. And at the University of Oregon, I was privileged to work with a man. What is it called when you're, we used to call it a savant, but there's another word for it when they're autistic savant, and he had 4 PhDs, and he was a very, very odd duck. And there were over 100 teachers in my department, and some of them were very unkind and cruel to him. And it always used to just amaze me that he never took offense. He just let it rub out. And I asked him once, and I said, you know, we were working in teams, and he came back the next day. Somebody said something unkind to him, and I said, "How are you doing working with this person?" And he said, why wouldn't I want to work with them? And I said, well, they were kind of unkind yesterday. He said, yeah, they were, but that's their stuff. And that's what I teach people, is to understand what's your stuff and what's their stuff. And going back to what Lorelei was saying, one of there are two words that I found to be very useful is, when I'm not sure if it's mind, I say, I wonder what this is about, or I wonder. And just using the word wonder puts you in a whole different perspective and state of mind. I haven't found it very effective to use when I'm asking somebody else. I use the word, I'm curious what this is about for you. If I say wonder, sometimes people take it wrong, like I'm being intrusive, or, you know, whereas with curiosity, they don't do that so much. So with myself, I use the word wonder a lot. I wonder what this pain in my toe is about, or whatever it is. So yeah, I love those two words, wonder and curious.
I just want to mention something about wonder and curious. So the reason why I was guided to use that word is because we receive answers in the answers or divine guidance in our vibration, like where we're at. So if I go, what's wrong with me? I might get a response. I usually just get dead air, right? Like they're not even going to entertain that. But as soon as you go into the like what I would call the emotional or open state of wonderment, your vibration increases and you are able to receive and access information. So, I mean, I find myself not using wonder all of the time, and immediately it's followed up with, you're not going to get a response because your energy is in like a lower level, right? So I just think that's a great reminder, Sandra, that just using wonder and activating your curious mind is going to get you so much more information about what you're seeking.
Yeah, that's great. Just a reminder too, I'm posting in the chat again. I'm putting all of our information, and I also put it at the top. I'll put it at the bottom again too. If you'd be willing to leave us feedback before you go, we'll put you in a drawing for a free 30-minute session with one of us of your choice, and it could be for you. This session could be for someone else that you gifted to who wants it. There you go. So the link for that is in the chat. And all of us are available to do work outside of this, private work. So we'd love you to support us and do sessions with us too. Just know that that's available. And just about everybody has specials right now. So if you're from being at this event, if you're willing to sign up for something with one of us tonight or very soon, reference this event, you may get the special price. Yeah. If anyone has any other, go ahead.
Yeah, I say something while you're doing that. I think one thing I wanted to mention, and I'll always have one more thing, so when I need to be quiet, is sovereignty is really important. And how I define sovereignty is to recognize that we are self-mastered and divine, so that we can claim our sovereignty, so that we can actually experience our freedom or our free will. And I think this is really important. And how you get this across to your children obviously is entirely up to you. You change the words. But when you have highly sensitive or gifted children and they are experiencing other dimensional realms, working with them on their abilities and teaching them like the sacred no and the sacred yes. So when no means no and yes means yes. I have found from my personal experience that the spirit world has always honored my no way more 100% and in comparison to the human world. I've had a lot of narcissists in my life that they don't hear no. So I was taught about boundaries from the spirit world. And so to not be afraid if your children are having experiences that maybe you don't understand, but you can still work with them and empower them to say no. And if anything is making them uncomfortable, that they can just say no and to go away. And that's them in a way claiming their sovereignty. And I just think that that's really important. So I just wanted to leave with that at least.
Great, thank you. Oh, So yeah, and by the way, thank you so much, the person that asked the question. That was a lovely, lovely question, and it gave us all just an opportunity to share. It was really great. Yeah, and it's just the complexity and the layers, and yeah, it's beautiful. Just feel for you and your care, right, and your desire to honor your experience and honor your children and solve what you can and prevent what you can. And yeah, you're very welcome. We got a big thank you for our answers. Yeah, so all of you, just for all of our panels, it's great value. For $15, you get brilliant answers from a number of practitioners. Okay, we have other events coming up too. So we've got so there's interest in doing some panels on business, just that's coming up. So spirituality, intuition, and business and career. So we're going to have one on Thursday. Let me go get the times. So Thursday and Sunday, some of the practitioners will be the same and some are different. So that's Thursday the 25th, that'll be at 5 p.m. And then Sunday the 28th, that'll be at 1 in the afternoon. And then we also have a MeWe fair on Saturday the 27th. It'll be at an unusual time. We're going to do 11 a.m. To 2 p.m. So experiment with that time so we can reach more people on the East Coast too. And yeah, all over. Yeah, and let's see, and there's another panel that's going to be on animals that's coming up on July 14. I think that's going to start at 6 p.m. I haven't scheduled it. Well, yeah, it's 6 p.m. I think is when that starts. Just lots of different things happening. Yeah. So thank you all of you for being here and holding the space for all of this and being interested in the subject and giving us an opportunity to share what we are all passionate about and love. And here's that link again. If you're willing to share your feedback with us, you'll get on all of our email lists and learn about what we're doing, and you'll get entered into a drawing for the 30-minute free session. And anything, maybe let's just go around, each of you, if you want to share just again your name and your modalities, and then the way people can connect with you online. Feel free to just share that in the recording too. Practitioners, if you want to go. And I'll say there, so we're at mewefairs.com, MEWEFAIRS.com. And yeah, practitioners, go ahead and just jump in and take turns.
I'll go ahead and jump in. So I am Galactic Ashley, and I channel divine guidance for star seeds, connecting them to their star families and galactic lineages. And I use light language frequencies and work with your cosmic connections to facilitate high frequency healing transmissions and encoded activations. And I have star sessions, and I offer galactic light energy drawings. But what the discount today that I'm offering is 10% off of my light language healing and activation program, and it starts in August and goes through October, and it's 10 weeks long, and you don't have to be a practitioner to do it, but if you are a practitioner, it can, I feel, boost your practice, and if you incorporate it in with your work, and it's also a great opportunity for artists or anybody that's interested in self-healing. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so other practitioners, go ahead and share, your name and your what you do and your contact info.
There you go. Carrie Russell, and I do energy healing. I can do distance healing with my own modality, and when it's appropriate to do so, I'm starting to take clients in the near future for in-person sessions, and I do access bars and body processes, and I also teach the class called Access Bars.
And how can people find you online?
My website's in the chat. It's meridiannw.com.
Great, thank you. All right, cool. Yeah, who else wants to share? Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, whoever wants to jump in.
Okay. Hi, I'm Susie Parker Goins with Blue Lightning Healing. I'm a channel, and so I allow you an opportunity to talk directly with divine. I also do past life healing and energy work. And my best contact information is susiepgoins@gmail.com.
Great. Emiko and Satora were wanting to share. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Satora with Well of Love. I'm an energy healer and a channeler, and I can do energy healing and channeling remotely online. I have two modalities: quantum energetic realignment, which is pure divine love, and that is very effective in times of change, transition, crisis, and such. Oh man, my brain.
And how can people connect? How can people connect with you? It's cool.
Blah, blah, blah. My email address is in the chat, and I'll have a website soon. Not yet. Website's coming, but my email is freesatora@gmail.com, and my phone number is also in the chat with the information.
Some people watching the video won't be able to see the chat. That's why I'm just wanting everyone to have it in the video too.
Okay, so Free Satora, that's the word free, FREE, and SATORA @gmail.com. Thank you.
Great.
Hi, I'm Emiko, the heartfelt energy healer. I balance all the chakras and then removing emotional blocks. My website is tiny.cc/heartfelt healer. That's all lowercase. And the email is emiko, EMIKO, the healer, all one word, @gmail.com. And phone number 206-313-6614. And then for this special event, I offer 30% off on my single session as well as the package, all on my booking pages. Thank you. Looking forward to seeing you again. Thank you, Laura, holding this space.
It's great. And then Susie, did you want to jump in and share too?
I
did.
I just did.
Oh, you did. I'm just like,
I don't want to elbow my way in.
Oh,
and go,
Sandra, that's who's next. That's what I was thinking. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I'm Sandra Jeffs, and I do Soul Essence Awakening, and I use all of my modalities from Feng Shui to Reiki to astrology, everything that I've ever studied, and to help you have a holistic healing from your home environment, the land environment, what you wear, the energy that you wear, stones, everything. So I offer for these fairs 25% off, and my information is in the chat. But my website is sandrajeffs.com, and if you go to the healing section, you'll see the healing parts. I also have a lot of products on there, and you'll get 25% off. The code is SEAC, all in caps, and you put that in at the checkout stage and you'll get 25% off any of the healing packages that I have. So thanks.
Great. I have my work at special rates today too. So I'm Lorelei Shamayo. I'm an intuitive eye reader, body psychology coach, and emotional energy healer. And you got a demonstration of a bunch of my body psychology coaching today, and I talked tidbits about the eye readings. And my prices today, if you sign up today or very soon thereafter and mention you were at the event, it's $20 for 10 minutes, $30 for 20 minutes, $40 for half an hour, and $60 for an hour. So it's half the price of what my prices typically are when we're not in the pandemic. All right, great. And someone else just shared a little bit. I'm going to say thank you. Deeply appreciate this. My daughters seem to talk at all the right moments. We have some experiences with access bars practitioners as well as Usui, Angelic Reiki, and Shambhala Reiki. And I'm always looking for ways to better assist my daughters. As for myself, I'm drawn to work with Galactic Ashley. So yeah, hope to see you all again soon. It's great. So we have these events so that so many more people can learn about who we are and what we do. And so everybody can find the practitioner that's a great fit for them. So thank you so much for coming and yet being part of the space that allows us to do these events. And we'll be posting this online too. So more and more people will get to learn about us and benefit from all that we're offering. Oh yeah, and you can find me online at, MeWeFairs.com. And then also LorelaiShamayo.com, LaureliShimayo.com. Thank you everyone very, very much. I will turn off the recording and then, yes, send everybody off to the waiting room. Thank you very much. Practitioners, go ahead, hang out, and we can chat for a minute.